Hello and welcome to my homestead. This is update number 3. I have been here now for 3 months. I moved here at the end of March of this year and today is June 29th. So 3 months. I'm going to start my walkthrough today here in this experimental area. As you can see, this is all about tomatoes and a few peppers on this side. I call it experimental because I have never grown any of these varieties. Like a Mana Orange or the Golden Queen or German Strawberry. All of these tomatoes are brand new to me. Some are a little bit behind in their development. You can see there is very poor soil, a lot of sand, which is what I've had to deal with, and yet some are already producing. This is Mexico Midget. Again, I've never had these before. Quite tasty. Some of these are much farther along. They're becoming quite a bit of forest. They're up to my waist now. And some unfortunately are getting sick, and I have no idea what's going on here, why this tomato got sick. But you can see some are ripening and having some really large tomatoes here. On this patch there are 36 plants, and again, every single one of them is an experiment for me because I have not planted these before. Same thing here. These are on both patches are the varieties that my sister provided, some that she grew from seedlings, some that she got from her friend, Irina. And I'm growing them all here. Again, some of these are actually, some are up to my chest now. We're gonna say they're up to my waist, but they're not. But as you can see, most of them have tomatoes on them. Some have just a few tomatoes, and some have these large handles. So depends on variety of tomato. The grape tomatoes are usually, or the cherry tomatoes are usually more productive and have better formed. I also have some peppers in between, as you can see. These are poblano peppers. I already picked the first flush, the central stalk. And I'm looking forward to picking more. I do have some interesting varieties here, such as this Midnight Snack. I think that's what it's called. Beautiful, well formed. I'm looking forward to these. I don't know what this variety is. I'm assuming this is the Mortgage Maker. Very well formed. And again, inside there are some cherry tomatoes. So this is what I love, is seeing how all of them have formed uniformly. Some are ready to pick, like these are tumblers. And they're ready to be picked. They're falling off. Same thing here. It's actually overripe now. But these are small tomatoes. They never get very big, but they're really very good producers. Now if I come over here, here is another Mortgage Maker, and you can see why it's called that. Gorgeous, gorgeous hands. Lovely. I wish all tomatoes were like that. Full, lots of production, and more to come. Now I'm keeping every single one of these in a single stalk. As you can see, I've trimmed all of the suckers. So I'm not allowing suckers on any of these tomatoes. I probably should have allowed some on Tutti Frutti, like these. But if I do, I will not have ability to walk through these tomatoes. It's going to be a jungle. As it is, it's already a jungle. So, yes, I also have a resident snake that deposited its skin here. I still have not seen the snake, so I don't know what variety it is, but from what I've seen on the end, this is a rattler. So I'm not looking forward to actually meeting the snake because it's one of the 2 poisonous, extremely deadly snakes in Maryland. As you can see, I was in the middle of staking my tomatoes. Still have a couple of that I need to finish. I decided to take a break. Some of these tomatoes are quite large, but they form only a single tomato. Now, this patch is a combination of peppers and cabbages. If you have seen my previous videos, I had lost cabbages on the other patch, and I lost actually all brassicas. Cauliflower, broccoli, they're all gone because of the worms. The caterpillars ate them, so I could not have anything from those. I left a few cabbages to grow, but mostly I don't expect anything. And I had these growing. As you can see, they're getting quite nice. The peppers are also getting nice. They're forming small peppers already. I'm keeping these under the cover, which I just pulled off a few minutes ago, so I can take this video. But other than that, I'm covering everything. But as you can, I'm going to show you something. Even the covers don't save these. I mean, look at these. I still have worms. No matter how well I try to cover, they're still there. There it is. This has been the bane of my existence here. So I'm gonna have to go through and pick all of the worms off again and hope to cover, and unfortunately they are destroying everything. Look at that. It's been a nightmare. So I'm hoping to save at least these cabbages if I can do something. I also have these massive eggplants, and I'm saying really massive. They're beginning to bloom. These are really nice, thick plants, very strong. I'm hoping that they can survive the heat that we're having. We're having the 95 to 100 degrees heat wave, and I hope that they can make it. Usually eggplants are pretty good about heat, so I'm hoping that they will be fine. And some more cabbages here in between. And now I transition into corn. There is one row of cabbages that was hiding, and one single corn that I did not know was there until the last minute. So here is my corn. Now the saying is that by July 4th it has to be knee-high. Well, it's up to my waist. So my guess is the corn is doing quite well. It's nice and green and lush. Obviously I'm not going to have actual corn on the 4th of July, but at least it's growing. Now here we have a little bit of interspersed in between. I have a couple more tomatoes hiding. They're small, really behind. I have a few red onions interspersed here also. They're not doing too great. These onions were planted way too late, so they're struggling against the heat. I have some nice bush beans. They're blooming. Some more corn. And some beets. I also have a few hot peppers in between here. So like these hot peppers. Here are the beets. They have formed, so I can actually pick them now if I want to. But actually not a bad size. If I wanted to have young beets, I could pick them now and then plant another rotation. So I have a bunch of beets, followed by bush beans and some hot peppers and tomatoes. Now over here I planted 3 more tomatoes here. Needed some space. I have my soybeans. As you can see, they're beginning to grow and blossom. So I'm looking forward to having soybeans. Been looking forward to it for a while. couple more peppers here. And I have no idea what these tomatoes are, but I guess I'll find out when they grow. I do have a little patch of herbs here. My sister sent me. I still have a few melons that need to be transplanted. These are late. They really took their time waking up. Now here, under the first cover, I have these huge stalks or sunflowers. They're providing shade for the peppers, which in the last couple of weeks it has been really a blessing to have these sunflowers because it has been so hot. So these sunflowers had been really saving the plants down here. Unfortunately, the caterpillars are not letting them saved. So you can see the damage that has been inflicted on these cabbages. But they're providing shade for the ground so it doesn't cool down. And you have the peppers that are doing quite well. I also have some plants growing here on the side of the sunflowers. Things like cucumbers. You can see cucumbers are growing all the way, actually almost as high as I am now. You can see a bee hiding there from the sun. They're resting. And more cucumbers here. Let's see. So very shortly I'll have lots of cucumbers, and some of them are even more advanced. They've set out runners, side shoots, suckers, and got more cucumbers as it is. So in a little while I'm gonna be swimming in cucumbers. Like this little fella. All right, so here's another look at my sunflowers. There's one of them blooming. If anyone knows how to grow an achacha tree, please let me know. This achacha has been sick for a couple of months now, and I have no idea how to help it. If you've grown an achacha before, please let me know. Also, I accidentally planted a couple of tropical trees. You can see it has really shot up through. It's almost 3.5 feet tall now. The other one is 2 feet. These are rambutans, and again, even though they're doing quite well, nice healthy leaves, I have no idea how to grow them. You can see from the leaves that some of them are kind of damaged, and I don't know what to do with them. I would appreciate some advice. Over here, my ice cream bean tree is doing quite well. It's growing nicely. It's adapted. It has sent out a lot of growth, so I'm very happy about it. There's a lot of new undergrowth. And my papaya, it's another tropical tree I have. Papaya is doing really well. So it doesn't have the blooms yet, so it's not ready to bloom. So while I'm on the subject of trees, I'm gonna switch over here. I have my banana tree. It set out a lot of runners. You can see a lot of undergrowth. It's very active. I'm hoping it will continue growing, and it has nice strong leaves that it will soon send out an actual bloom. I would like to try one bananas. It is Chinese Lisianthus. This is a lemon. It's in full bloom. You can see just everywhere. Lots of blooms. I just hope they will actually form lemons this time, and instead of just dropping. But if I were to show you, there are blooms all over. So it's a nice healthy tree. Before it was very sick, but it just burst in blooms. Same thing here. This one is also growing and blooming. These are the fig trees that my sister sent me for my birthday as a gift. So they're also growing quite nicely and even have little buds, so hopefully I will have a couple of figs. All of these oranges, these are navel oranges growing. There is a Meyer lemon. It was sick for a while, but it's finally recovering and growing. This right here is a navel orange. It had a nice big orange before, but it dropped it. I don't know why. It's something it didn't like. But the nice thing is, since then it has gone into bloom and sent out a lot of these babies. So it formed new oranges. You can see them all. I hope it will not discard all of them and at least have a couple of oranges. Now, this is another accomplishment I have here, at least for me accomplishment, because putting up these hoop houses or hoop structures is not easy when you're 5 feet tall. And you're doing this by yourself. So for me this was actually quite difficult, but I do have, these are loofahs, beautiful loofahs. I'm gonna send them up, so they're gonna be hanging off the structure. This is from the seeds that Desiree Nostin has given me. I know Desiree will watch it and probably notice my poor grammar, so my apologies. So all of these are loofahs except on this side. I have a couple of cantaloupes. I have a cantaloupe growing here and a couple of cantaloupes here. So while the loofahs are going to go up on the structure, the cantaloupes are going to be whiny on the bottom. So hopefully they can coexist. I have a couple of plants that my sister gave me to try and save them. She grew them from stone. These are supposed to be passion fruit. I don't know if it is, because I have not yet seen the leaves that match passion fruit, but I guess time will show. Right. So we're going to continue here. More peppers. You can see these are really nice, large plants, very healthy. They're all blooming. They're all ready to go into production mode. I had a couple of orish, which is supposed to be a version of spinach. They were killed by heat. It's just these plants cannot survive 90 degrees heat. That's not the environment for them. So I'm letting them go into seed and then hopefully pick this seed and then replant them. I also let a few of these daikon go into seed, so hopefully I will pick them as well. Now, moving on, here is all my forest of potatoes. As you can see, they're quite large. They're beginning to lay down, which is nice. They've been blooming for a while. They're almost done blooming. As you can see, these are almost finished blooming, which tells me hopefully there are potatoes forming underneath. So once they're beginning to lay down and begin to die off in another maybe 3-4 weeks, I will start picking them when they die off, and then remove all of this greenery and plant something else, rotation. Maybe put a new set of cabbages for the winter. My roses. Now this tomato plant has gone out of control, and I don't know what variety it is. It has not yet grown for me to taste it. It has small tomatoes here and there, but for the most part it's just a lot of blooms that keeps falling off. Some of the tomatoes formed, but for the most part it just keeps growing greenery. Probably too much nitrogen. This fellow has formed quite a few nice tomatoes, but it's still far behind. I have a few of Jenny's honey oil strawberries, and I used to have, like you see here, this is actually daikon. I had left a couple of them for seeds, but all of this used to be covered in daikon. I pulled them out already. So once they had free space, I put some celery that Jenny gave me. And I have another beautiful pepper tree. Now this was one of the first tomatoes that I had planted. You can see, and I'm gonna save at least some of the seeds from this tomato. Absolutely fantastic. Look at these, they're huge. These are yellow tomatoes. Why I know it's yellow? Because one of them is ripe. Here we go. Nice yellow tomato. So this is, like I said, this is the first one, or the earliest one to be planted. I really like how much it's producing. It's a heavy producer. It does need to be tied up, but it is heavy on producing. Its neighbor, unfortunately, has all of these little ones that I have not yet found what they are. But it is loaded in fruit. I mean, you can see this. Lots and lots and lots of tomatoes everywhere. So I'm looking forward to finding out with both of them what kind they are. I have another cucumber in here. This one also set out a lot of runners. So it's trying to run sideways. And it's beginning to form some cucumbers. Now here I have a forest of dill. You can see it's all gone into bloom. Sitting in between strawberries. My strawberries have done, they're growing, so now hopefully they're setting buds for winter. So I can have a nice flush of strawberries next year. I'm definitely going to have to thin them out. They multiplied and they've become a forest. But I also have this wonderful dill that I'm going to pick soon and dry it up and then use to make dill pickles. And some more of Jenny's Zianthus. Again, this is a working area, so I have a couple more tomatoes here. I'll have this wonderful pomelo. It's actually a pomelo tangerine hybrid. So I have no idea what it's going to taste like, but I look forward to it. And there is another tangerine hybrid. It had a lot of tangerines before, but it dropped everything. I don't know why. It's kind of sad. Hopefully it will recover whatever its problem was. You can see where there used to be tangerines and everything just dropped. And another tomato that's forming. This one I'm keeping in a pot. Oh, I do have a couple of coffee plants that have been struggling, but they sent out new growth, so hopefully they will recover. I'm going to walk over to my pumpkins patch. I have different types of pumpkins. Here's the first one. This one, Jenny says it's a big melon. I still think it's a blue pumpkin, but whatever it is, it's growing quite nicely. You can see it's getting kind of big, and it sent out runners quite long. Now next to it is what looks like to be a Crenshaw melon. It's also kind of big, and they're getting really heavy, so I'm not going to try and pick it up. But I hope it will have more than just one. It had two others, but it dropped one, and it looks like it's dropping another one. Yes, this is dying, so it did not pollinate. You can see it did not fully pollinate. Just sad. Now over here I have what I call my watermelon patch. The watermelons are sent out in this direction, so they will not cross-pollinate with pumpkins, and the pumpkins are going in that direction. Again, have to improvise given the limited space, but at the same time I do have one watermelon already set. I hope it will have a lot more. I'm looking forward to finding out what kind they are. So before I move on here, I want to show you this patch right here. This is my herb garden slash pollinator attraction. And this is why. The herbs are obviously, I have thyme and oregano, but they're all blooming. So you can see the bees flying all over the place. There's a lot of bachelor buttons, and they're absolutely gorgeous. I wish they could show you the real color because they're actually navy, dark navy blue, but for some reason they don't show up through. Here we go. This is a little bit better. I also have some of my onions here. You can see they're actually quite big, decent sized onions. So come fall, come August, I will pick these onions. I'm gonna have quite a bit for the winter. I have a few coreopsis that are beginning to bloom. They're gorgeous. So this is what I was hoping to have in the field out instead of lawn, but over there the flowers are much later or much farther behind, and they're not growing as nicely. So for the moment I'm enjoying the colors from here. Okay, so coming over here, I do have one hitchhiker, regular sunflower. I have these beautiful tomatoes. Jenny says these are sunburst or solar flare. Sorry, not sunburst, solar flare. Look at the size of this. It's huge. I'm looking forward to trying the taste. Next to it is some kind of varieties that are small. I have no idea what they are, but again, hopefully I will try soon. So there is one that's already ripe. Very nice tomato. Very sweet. Okay, so here is some more of these solar flares. I mean, look at the sizes of these. These are huge. I do have one red cabbage here on this side, and I have one put tomato over there that's not quite fully ripe, but it's getting there. Some kind of stripy tomato. I guess I'll find out what it is later. My tomatoes, again, I try to keep them clean in one stock, and here it wasn't very successful. In one case, there's black cherry tomato. You can see a lot of tomatoes are already ripe. I've been picking them for a while now, but it's loaded. It actually fell over, and I had to put this makeshift cage on the side just to give it a little bit extra support. And of course, the caterpillar worms have started. The hornworms. Okay, back to my black cherry tomatoes. You can see, like I said, I've been picking them for a while. They've been producing like crazy. These are really heavy producers, which is wonderful if you want a lot of cherry tomatoes. This is the one to get. Very tasty, lots of flavor, loaded with fruit. Absolutely loaded. Now, I don't know what this stripey is. Hopefully Jenny will tell me eventually, but I'm looking forward to trying it. So I try to keep these tomatoes single, but except for the black cherry, as you can see, there is a lot of black cherries. Been picking them for a while. They're really prolific. Look at these. Absolutely gorgeous. And they're loaded. Okay, so quickly, another bed of onions, artichokes, or onions and carrots. I'm gonna have a lot of onions. Artichokes are growing quite nicely. I have a few more sunflowers there. Here I have some beans. I've already been picking them. They're in between eggplant. These eggplants are just recovering. They got really sick when it was cold. They got frostbitten. And beans are doing quite nicely. I've been picking some of them already. You can see they're in full production mode. Like these I've been picking, and there's still a lot more to come. So, and over there, lots and lots of beans. So very happy with them. Again, my pumpkins, I have 2 squashes here and more watermelons. I have patches everywhere. For those who are wondering why I have watermelons here growing straight in the grass, mostly because the urgency was to plant them as fast as possible, get things in the ground, and then let them grow. Too many things to do here, and again, I've only been here for 3 months. One of the problems has been landscaping. The companies here really suck. I've had 3 different companies come out here. They would start mowing, they would do one pass, and they would never come back. And I have no idea why. Here are the plants that my sister had planted. Some dahlias on that side. They're beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous flowers. I do have a few gladioli that woke up, but mostly I'm enjoying this. Absolutely lovely. There is a nice yellow one on this side. And these purple ones. So as you can see, there's also a couple of big bushes over by the waterfall. These are the butterfly bush. They've been attracting a lot of pollinators and a lot of butterflies. But before I go there, I want to show you a few more trees here. A few more things growing here. I do have my loquat growing. I have more lisianthus, 1 cabbage, and a couple of grapes. Mint, lots of carrots, and I need to find places for all of these trees and loquats. This was my pomegranate. Unfortunately, dropped all of the fruit. It formed, but it dropped it, so clearly it's not happy with something. The birds have discovered my blueberries. I'm letting them eat them. Mostly because I've just about had enough blueberries. I've been inundated with them. I picked a lot of blueberries. So let the birds eat what they want. I do have Jenny's plant here. This is the hardy kiwi. It's growing quite nicely. Lots of new growth. Both from underneath. And I have a few flowers that I planted here. Let me walk over to the central patch. So here we are in the orchard. You can see some of the trees. As well as Jenny's flower patch. I want to show you this fig right here. It does have a nice fig, so I'm very happy about it. There are 2 of them actually. There's another one. I have a few scapes here that Jenny had grown for me. These are sweet potatoes. So I'm trying very hard to keep them alive. It's really, really hot at 95 degrees every day. It's hard to keep this moist, and they require a lot of moisture. I have a couple of cantaloupes. These are more Crenshaw melons. And lots of watermelons. So this is my melon patch. The idea is for the melons to spread themselves all over this area together with between the melons and the sweet potatoes. They should cover the entire area with their leaves. And again, all of my trees, they're doing quite nicely. It's been an adventure trying to keep everything alive here and trying to keep everything going. So here we are at the flower patch. Got a few lilies that Jenny has planted. They're absolutely gorgeous. And more flowers to come. But they've been blooming for a while. I have a lot of lavender that has been growing very slowly for some reason. I don't know why. It's finally started shooting up a little bit. I have these absolutely gorgeous flowers. Look at these colors. There are different varieties, different colors. So all of these flowers are the ones that Jenny had planted, except for petunias. I have no idea where they came from. I think they must have been here before. But I'm enjoying all the colors here. And one more patch of pumpkins or gourds. So this is probably winter squash. And again, I hope they can survive the actual heat. I also want to show you this lake. Right now it's really fouled because of all of the stuff that fallen in, a lot of the debris from the forest, but also how much the level has dropped. I mean, where I am standing right now, this used to be flooded, and I'm looking down about 9 feet or so. So the levels have really dropped, very, very low level. We have not had really water for almost 2.5 months. We had a few drizzles, but nothing significant. So this is my life here. Lots of stuff to do. For those who are wondering what it's like to have a homestead, it's a never-ending chore. A lot of expenses, a lot of work. I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning just to water everything before the sun gets really hot. Especially these days when it's 95 degrees, you simply cannot do anything later on. And even after all the work that you put in, it's still, sometimes you look at it and it looks like a mess. And you wonder why you're doing this in the first place. But it is fun. At least for me it is. Here we are at my first waterfall. This one hiding. And then here is the second one. I just added water here because it was really low. I do have 4 fishes here, or 4 babies I should say, that I found today. I'm very happy about it. So I have now older fish and I have small ones. So they survived the herons. And a few nice burgundy lilies, daylilies. Absolutely lovely. If it wasn't so hot, you can actually enjoy it. And of course mosquitoes and ticks and everything else aside. But I do love it here. It's nice and peaceful and brings me joy. So on that note, thank you for joining me, and until next time. I do want to show you my black pepper tree. It's growing quite nicely. You can see it's depositing sugars. It sent out new growth. So I'm quite happy with it. I also have a couple of these Leucanthus that are getting ready to bloom. I'm looking forward to finding out what color they are. And I have my experiment. As you can see, I'm growing, this is edible lotus. So I'm hoping that the rhizomes that are beginning to grow there are going to set. All these white things, these are rhizomes, the actual edible roots. They will grow, they're supposed to grow into several feet long. So this is going to be an interesting experiment.